again, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks since my last video, but it's been a pretty busy period. Been working a lot. I hope everybody had a nice Christmas and you're planning on having a nice New Year's. And I hope you have all your New Year's resolutions set out already, because everybody loves sticking to them. But in all seriousness, I've laid out a couple of goals especially for the channel and for the portfolio for the next year. I'm going to aim for ambitious but achievable goals. I want to have €30,000 invested into this penny farm, and I want to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm going to try put as much money into the portfolio and as much time into the channel as I can over the next year. So I recently finished up my work with one job, so I'm back down to one regular job and one irregular job. So I will be working less hours, which means I have to save quite a lot and I have to spend a lot less money to get myself up to that €30,000 goal for next year. See, it's taken me about 2 years to get to 11,000, so pushing it to 30,000 in 1 year is an additional 19,000. It's going to be quite a push. But I think if your goals are easy, then it doesn't really motivate you, in my opinion. It doesn't really motivate you as much as it would if it doesn't seem achievable. You don't put that extra bit in. But with the way that the market is going, I would say things are going to become quite a lot cheaper. So at least, even if I can't get to the €30,000 goal, all the money I do put in should be stretching a little bit further over the long term. Because I'm seeing quite a lot of heavy red everywhere. So as of the moment, there is 727 different pieces in this puzzle, and a few of them are growth. Let's say 10 are growth. This is one, for example. I remember I made a video on this a while ago and said that they were planning on paying a dividend in Bitcoin, and I was curious about how they were going to do that. So I bought some, and it has lost 90% of its value since I've done that. So this is a pretty black and white example of why you do not listen to randomers on the internet or on YouTube or anyone except yourself. Put as much work into researching your decisions as possible and get information from as many sources as possible, not just one. I got my information from one source, which was an article that I read, and I put, how much? About €35 in. Thank God it was only a small amount, and that's pretty much gone. So when a stock falls this low, it runs the risk of being delisted because it's a penny stock. So I haven't got too much hope for them, so we'll see what happens. But apart from that, I have €11,000 invested at the moment, and overall it's 16% down. But that does include massive losses on AMC, which is minus €770, and big losses on GameStop as well, which is minus €400. So about €1,100 of this red return is just AMC and GameStop. So it's hard to judge how the portfolio overall is actually doing, but they will either come back up or they will die, and in either case I'll get a good clear picture of how this portfolio is working. So since the last video, I've been putting small pieces into loads of different companies, and I've added a few new ones, which are a lot of these. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Martens. I didn't know that they were publicly traded, and I didn't know they paid a dividend. So I've added them in, added in Games Workshop. These I already had, I just increased my position slightly. This one, Eurazeo, is new. I think there's a few other ones. I'll find them later on anyway, but I've just been putting pretty small pieces into lots and lots of different companies that were down, and these larger ones are the UK dividend aristocrats, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It's a pie that I have, but because the UK is struggling, I've been putting a little bit of extra money into those. Now they will, because this is only the beginning of their downfall. I think that they will fall quite a bit more, but I would rather not try and time the bottom. I'll just put small pieces in all the way down, and then I'll put small pieces in all the way up. Yeah, it's just been lots of little investments all over the place. Nothing too spicy. And today I'm going to add in quite a few new positions. Yeah, these ones that were cancelled, I went to put, I think it was about €20 or so into a pie of bonds. and then realized that it would be better placed elsewhere. So I cancelled those. But as you can see by them, I haven't really sold anything. I've just been buying. I think the last one I sold was an ETF that I figured out does not pay a dividend, so it's not really any use to this project. And on the dividend front, it's been pretty good. So a lot of the monthly payers are paying nice big chunks, and a lot of other ones are still paying less than 10 cents, which I don't like. You know, receiving 1 cent in dividend is just a bit of a nuisance at the moment, because I still have to separate all of the payments that came from the US, and I have to have the full figure in gross, the full gross figure in dollars for tax at the end of the year. I have to separate the net from the UK and everything from domiciled in Ireland or in Europe, so which will be in euro. So having to do it for 1 cent payments is quite frustrating. So I think today I'm going to start bulking up all of my smallest positions. I do have a lot of ones I would like to add in, but I'd rather get rid of these little 1 cent payments first. But it's been decent. So if you're new here, the end goal of this is to get to 1,000 different positions in the portfolio and have about €100 in each position. So if you're new here, the goal of this portfolio is to have 1,000 different positions and to have about €100 per position. So all of them will pay a dividend, and the idea is that they will pay €1 per dividend payment, which means every one of these will be €1 rather than 3 cents and 14 cents. Now it is going to take quite a while, but the benefit of it is that the risk is pretty low, because it's spread out so much that if, say, this company Xylem went bankrupt tomorrow, I will lose less than 1% of my portfolio. But the downside of that is that if Xylem was to go up 10,000% tomorrow for whatever reason, then it's not going to be a massive boost to the portfolio. This is just a very safe protection against ignorance, as Warren Buffett would say. Very, very diversified. But yeah, nothing too spicy. They're growing slowly but surely as time goes on. And at the moment, I have €378 in dividends so far. I have €1,700 in realized profit, which most of that has gone back into where it came from, which was AMC and GameStop, so that might actually disappear quite soon. And I've deposited close to €10,000, and I've withdrawn close to €900. But that was also during the AMC and GameStop boom. I put in too much, and then when it boosted, or when it shot up, I took some profits. I then withdrew some of that money and I put the rest of the profits back into them, which is a terrible idea. Don't do that, especially if you don't know what you're doing, like myself. Well, that's pretty much it on the dividend front. Nothing too spicy. Now, the portfolio itself. Devon Energy is still top of the pops. It's 146% up. That was 220% up quite a while ago. So looks like the energy companies are coming down from their highs. But like most of these are energy companies up the top. Another one actually, Bank of Ireland. It's 114% up. Very nice. Don't know why that happened. But that is quite a nice graph. I bought in, looks like 11th of July of 2021. Very nice. But it pays a terrible dividend, less than 1%. Well, it's the dividend yield at the moment, so it depends on where I get in, I suppose. But yeah, a lot of the usual suspects up the top, and down the bottom is a lot of the other usual suspects. So that's, well, it's supposed to be growth, but doesn't count. That doesn't count. JP Morgan Russian Securities has been sanctioned, so that's kind of dead. I'm just going to leave that there. Adler Group, doing terrible. That is I think a real estate company in Luxembourg. Yeah, it's not doing well. Oof. Yeah, 33% dividend yield, which means they're not going to pay it. It's just an outrageous amount of money to pay out for a dividend. So this also creeping down towards a penny stock. Not too sure how I feel about that. probably going to pass away quite soon. Eurazeo has been sanctioned. GameStop is a meme stock. Uniper. They are, I think, being nationalized by the German government, so there's a lot of fear involved. They've had a name change, Senstar Technologies. I think it was Magellan Security Systems before, an Israeli security company. But yeah, a lot of them not doing too great. But what I'm going to focus on today is the smallest positions. So I can organize them by market value, which is how much they're worth at the moment. So my €5 investment in JP Morgan Russian securities is now worth 69 cents. Not great. But all of these ones, now although they are up quite a bit, like 25%, 20%, this just means that I'm paying 20% more for these shares of Costco than I did when I bought it last time. So because it's so small, it's not the end of the world. But this will happen as time goes on. You could have a massive position in a company and it's 1,000% up. But when you put more money in, it will bring this result down because you've paid a higher price for it. And your average price of all of your shares of Costco, the average price has actually gone up because you're paying more for it the second time around. But these are so small that it doesn't really matter at the moment. And I'm just going to run through all of these and put, I would say, yeah, I'll do €2 per position. Although it's not a huge boost, it will just get them out of the very, very bottom of the pile of market value. So I'll run through that quickly. Give you a look at how some of these companies are doing. I'll have all of my graphs will be on the maximum amount of information given. So I'll give a good gauge of how they've done over the last couple of years. all of those orders should go through as soon as the US market's open, and I have €5.01 left. I'm going to put that somewhere specific. I think I will just organize them by whoever's doing the worst, and I'll give one of them a good boost. I'll just try to look for a solid one that I have no doubts about. This is another quite popular one. A subscriber suggested this one to me, and I've seen loads of videos about it ever since. It's a shipping company, and it is paying massive dividends. So a lot of people are wondering like how it's even possible, but I've received a couple of dividends from them. Doesn't give much details here, but the dividend yield is way in the double digits, like massive. And I only have how much? About, let's say €15 invested, and I've received dividends from them, and they've been like €1 and €2. Like massive dividends. If you're new to dividend investing, that's not normal at all. You're supposed to receive like a safe dividend is maybe 4% a year. So if you have €100 in, you'll receive €1 4 times per year from a company that pays quarterly. It's bananas. I don't really know how it works, but it's one of those risky ones where it could pay off, but it could also be absolutely devastating. So this portfolio actually suits those risky kind of positions, because I can get this to €100 and then forget about it. Worst case scenario, I lose €100. Best case scenario, it continues paying dividends from now on. So we'll see what happens. But I'll pop my last €5 in. I think see, this is a good one now for my €5. I think this is a UK company, but I've only got €5 in it, and it's 42% down. So I can now double that position for 42% less than I paid for it last time. It's a manufacturer, marketer, and distributor of branded consumer products in the tobacco industry. Right. So it pays 1% of dividends. Earnings per share looks all right. It's got 426 employees. So anyway, I can now double my current position for 42% less. So I'll get 42% more shares than I did the last time I bought them. And that's kind of the general gist of dividend investing. Collect as many shares of whatever companies you feel confident about and hold them for whatever your time frame is. So somebody who starts investing when they're 20 can do that for 60, 70 years. They could even keep the portfolio and pass it down to younger generations. But if you're in your 80s already, then your timeline might be, luckily, could be 10 years, could even be only a couple of years. So there's many different ways to skin a cat, as they say, and this is my particular method of skinning a cat. Taking tiny little pieces off thousands of different places for many, many years.